Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, every single week during the fantasy football season. It's you guys. It's me. It's Russ Bliss when we join him on CBS Sports Radio. We go on CBS Sports Radio every single Wednesday for 1 hour, and I stream my side of the fence for the entire hour. We're going to be on CBS Sports Radio in T-minus 14 minutes, but until then, I'm all yours, answering your fantasy football questions. Let's get to it.
Top 5 running backs. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
What is up, guys? So glad to have you here for another episode of the Fantasy Football Show. We're going live on CBS Sports Radio, 1580 The Fanatic, like we do every single Wednesday night. And we do that at 10 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. Join me. I have people say, Smitty, when do you go live? When can I find you live? Do you have a set schedule? There are 2 times that I am set every week. 10 p.m. Eastern, which is tonight, every Wednesday. And then also 1 hour before kickoff, live here on YouTube every single Sunday morning. You can find me live for over an hour at both of those times. Wednesday night, 10 p.m., 1 hour before kickoff Sundays. Now you know. If you didn't know, join me every single one of those days. And of course, wipe your feet, as Ricardo says, when you walk in the front door of the show, please. Don't just walk in and not hit that like button. It's disrespectful to the show. Please do it. Help us out. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the stuff right now. Let me kill the music. Let's see here. 1 second. Let me load a couple things here. We're going to talk about Week 7 starts and sits. We're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff. And then we're going to go live in T-minus 13 minutes on CBS Sports Radio. They're going to call me on the cell this time. We've been having some trouble through the Skype line. But let's get to some of the questions you guys might have heading into Week 7. And I'm going to get right into it. How's your workout challenge going? Grant, great question. I'm at 12 pull-ups. I haven't had a chance to show the video. I can do. I can't get like above the bar like this. Some people can touch their chest to the bar every time. I can only get to like my chin up. I can only do a chin up. I can't do a chest up. But I can do 12 pretty good now. I bet you I could do 13 or 14 if I'm like kind of using my legs a little bit. But really solid, no use of legs, I can do 12. I'm a little behind schedule, but I'll post more on that as we go. Monty or Singletary this week. If Singletary's a go and he looks like a go, I'm going Singletary. I'm rolling that dice. I'm really excited about Devin Singletary. God, he looked good heading into the early part of the year. Then suffered the injury. He's been sitting out. What a shame. I can't wait till he gets going again, and I believe it will be this week. It's sounding like it. I posted a video on Instagram of him at working out today at practice, and he looked fine, looked fast, looked quick. Wasn't like going full go in all the video clips that I posted, but he looked like his agility drills, everything, get taken off handoffs, running down the field. He looks pretty ready to go, if you ask me. Hardman or Gore with Singletary ready to go. Hardman might be your better choice. Should I trade Kerryon for Chris Carson? You probably should, the way Carson's playing, and I'm somebody that doubted Carson early on. Oopsie on me. For now, I still worry about him staying healthy. But oopsie on me, for now, Carson is the guy that you would want to draft. I don't know, probably like 5 to 10 picks ahead of Kerryon, I would guess, if we're drafting today, guys, right? You're flexing Singletary everywhere, Michael. Trade Kittle for Kupp. I have Henry also. I think you do that. You trade Kittle for Kupp, given how good Kupp's been playing all year. Yeah. Why not? If you have Henry, I'd try and trade Henry into somebody else and keep Kittle, but that would be me. Andrew with the super chat. Andrew, thank you. Singletary or Lindsey? I go Singletary, but it is a dice roll, no question about it. Make sure you know that. Make sure you know that everyone, we had some drama last week because I was asked, should I start McLaurin or should I start Chark? Should I start Diggs or should I start Chark? And both McLaurin and Diggs went crazy. And there were some scenarios where I said, get both in your lineup. I can't tell you to bench Chark. I can't tell you to bench McLaurin. In some cases, I said, I can't tell you to bench Diggs. I can't tell you to bench Chark. But if push came to shove, in a couple of spots, Chark was the easier call. Chark was the guy that had been doing it all year. Diggs had not. And there was a little controversy in the comments of how I caused somebody to lose their league, blah, blah, blah. And the bottom line is, guys, you need to make your own decisions. I try and help you. I try and guide you. Even experts are getting it wrong over 30 to 40% of the time when we're talking about 50-50 calls. And you guys don't hit me up for obvious calls. Why would you? You're not going to go, hey, Smitty, should I start Zeke Elliott or should I start, Frank Gore? You're not going to come to me with that. You're coming to me with, hey, Smitty, should I start Devin Singletary or should I start Stefon Diggs? That's what I'm hit with left and right all day long, up and down my channel, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, and I'm not complaining. I'm blessed to be in the seat that I'm in, to talk fantasy football to you guys all day long. Try and think of creative ways to get an awesome show to you in so many different ways. I love it. I am not complaining whatsoever. But I'm going to miss 30 to 40%. Sometimes I'll have a bad week where I miss 50% of those 50-50 calls. They are 50-50 calls for a reason. Who's going to get McLaurin and Diggs right this week? Get that question right every single week. If you came to me and said, Smitty, Diggs and McLaurin this week, and you do that every single week, I'm going to fail you once in a while. That's the nature of a 50-50 call. Am I going to get it right every time? No. The answer is no. Start Kirk, Cousins, or Daniel Jones. Another 50-50. I think that's 40-40. I don't even know that's 50-50. That's 40-40, Angel. What do you guys think? Daniel Jones or Kirk? Let's help him out on that. Top 5 running backs for the rest of the season? That is a damn good question. Probably one of my favorite questions so far this week. Let's post that up here. And let's all talk about that. Because I think it's a damn good topic. Thomas, using that big, massive brain. Coming up with one of the best questions of the week, if not the year. Let's talk about it. Bench Bell or for Breda? No. I start Breda, but anything can happen. Top 5 running backs rest of season. Who's putting Barkley at number 1 or number 2? Already, without knowing if he's going to look 100%, he looks like he's ready to go. They're going to throw him out there. Is Barkley moving forward your number 1 overall running back? That's the question. No, I think McCaffrey's probably your 1. Can Barkley be your number 2? I think I go Zeke. So Barkley to me is number 3. So I'm going to go McCaffrey, Elliott, Barkley, Dalvin Cook, and then this is where we're going to get into, I think, a mixed bag of opinions here. No problem, Angel. So I think you'd be crazy not to rank McCaffrey 1. Some might say that the overusage will have him breaking down. I could get the argument. But CMC is the safest 1.01 I think there has been in years mid-season. You're at mid-season, it's like, who do I want number 1 overall? It's CMC. CMC, Elliott, Barkley, Cook. Who's number 5? Is it Kamara? He's banged up. Is it David Johnson? Are you worried about him not getting a consistent usage? Or are you saying, hey, this guy's the guy? Do you like Nick Chubb? Do you like Le'Veon Bell now that Darnold's back? Do you like James Conner because you feel like they finally got him going? Do you like Chris Carson? I wouldn't blame you if you did. I'm going to say that right now I like DJ there if we're talking about this week and factoring in this week, next week. But in the end, do I think that Kamara will be playing at a higher level in a week or 2, 3 weeks? I think so. I think Kamara will be what we thought he was, but you have to, if you're not 5 wins or more, and you're trading, or at least 4 wins, and you're trading in a trade that involves these guys, you have to go DJ, I think, because he's playing well, he's not hurt. You don't know what's going to happen with Kamara moving forward. You just don't know his health. There's a super chat. Did I answer that? Singletary or Lindsay? I go Singletary, but that's me. I think I already answered that, Andrew. Thank you for the super chat. If I missed another super chat, let me know. DJ's schedule is tough, says Matt. Playing top 5 running back defenses. On Brown versus Miami, Monty versus New Orleans, or Fuller versus the Colts. So John Brown, you mean, versus Miami. Monty or Fuller. I think John Brown's not a bad option, but I think Fuller's probably your safest bet at this point. But anything can happen on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and occasionally Saturdays. Now about top 5 wide receivers. That's a good one. Thomas, again, using that massive brain, coming up with some of the best questions here. This is the stuff I like to talk about. Top 5 wide receivers. You're going to call me crazy because guess who's number 1 for me? DeAndre Hopkins. My number 1 wide receiver moving forward because I don't care about what's happened when you ask me a question like that from weeks 1 through 6. I don't care. I know that DeAndre Hopkins has more talent than anybody in the NFL at the wide receiver position. I know that DeAndre Hopkins probably has one of the top 3 situations, if not locked into the top 2 in the league, because he has Deshaun Watson, who I love as my number 2 QB moving forward, throwing him the rock on the regular, and he has a guy like Fuller keeping defenses honest, an offense and a team that's looking great right now, and the fact that he's struggling, it's weird, it's head-scratching, but it's not explainable by a bad offense or a bad QB. So I go, who's crazy? Because like Hopkins won? Maybe you're talking to somebody else. If you think that's crazy, that's hilarious to me. I like, personally, Mike Thomas number 2. I think there's an argument to be made for Julio 3, Tyreek Hill 3. You could argue Chris Godwin 3. I tend to lean more toward the top 5 with Godwin because I think that Evans and him will rotate more than people are expecting. You could argue Mike Evans in the top 5. You could argue Amari Cooper, once healthy, is in the top 5. You could argue Keenan Allen's 5 to 10. Number 10 or number 5. Cooper Kupp is arguable in the 6 to 10 range. So, I don't know that we can lock down that number 5, number 4 spot. Adams would be in my top 5 if healthy, but we don't even know where he's at right now. I'm crazy for liking Hopkins 1. I love it. That's funny. Wipe your feet at the door, says Cameron. Godwin number 1 right now, says Jordan. Well, it would be hard for someone to argue against you, but I tend to lean toward the 5 to 8 spot for Godwin. 5 to 7. I think Evans and him are going to rotate. Lockett, you could argue 5. You could. Golladay definitely top 10 Bender. I agree. Devonta will have the most targets the rest of the season if he can get healthy. Balls life. I hope to God he can get healthy. No Name says, hey, I have a trade offer I'm thinking of accepting. My Ingram or Cooks for Kamara. Ingram or Cooks, meaning the wide receiver. I would trade Cooks in a heartbeat for Kamara. Are you kidding me? And I'd probably trade Ingram in a heartbeat for him as well, even though he's hurt. Wipe your feet. Hey, Smitty and everyone. What's up, Henry? And if you don't know what wipe your feet means, it means hit that thumbs up on the way in. It means have some respect for the show. Help us get out there. And when we're live like we are right now, nothing helps more than engagement to let people know, hey, YouTube says, damn, this show has a lot of likes. It's live. It has 100 to 250 people in it during every live. Let's let people know when the show is live. Let's do it. What to do with Mixon and Josh Gordon? I have a great question we're going to talk about. Mr. Miyagi's in the house. Mr. Miyagi, trade away Mac and Tevin Coleman for Kamara. I would, Miyagi-san. But I'm a little bit more risk averse, my son. I traded Odell for Bell. I like that. I trade Mark Ingram for Bell and Jarvis Landry. I like Bell a little more than Ingram, but dude, Ingram could easily be as good. Matt Smitty, what are your thoughts on Gallup with no Cooper? Must start? Yeah, Gallup's looking like a must start at this point, but depends on your options, man. Start Juju on the bye week. No, Rick, we're going to go ahead and take a hard pass on that one, but don't be surprised if he returns to form at some point. That's all I'm saying. Henry says, I have a feeling you don't like me very much. Not true, Henry. I have a feeling you don't like me very much because you're constantly calling out all the negatives. Just there's got to be a way for you to bring positivity to the show. I'm going to miss stuff, bro. And I'm the first one to tell you I miss stuff. But you come into the comments, Henry, and you constantly say, oh, what about this guy? What about this guy? Like, just bring some positivity. If you like a guy more than I do, say, hey, you know what? I love Chris Carson this year. And this is why. Henry, it's very simple. You've been here from almost the start, Henry, so you might as well be a part of building the show up, is all I'm saying. We don't really agree on a lot, says Henry. But I always hit the like button every time and I watch live or the replay. Well, that's why we're still bros. That's why we still have a bromance, Henry. But all I'm saying is, given that you've been here from the start, bring some positivity. We don't have to agree or talk about all the stuff that we agree or don't disagree on or might disagree on or predict what we're going to disagree on. All I'm saying is you have value. Bring it to the show rather than just harp on the negativity. If you got topics and players you want to talk about, man, bring it up. Let's talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts. Henry and all of you, I appreciate what you guys bring to the table. You have a plethora of knowledge that I like to pool together, talk about, and deploy in some of the answers here. When someone asks me a hard question, I don't just make up an answer. I sometimes go to you guys. I pull you guys because you know as much as anybody, especially as a group. They might be trying to call me on Skype. We're going to be going live here on CBS Sports Radio right now. Did I miss a super chat? Mark. Sorry, Mark. Great show, Smitty. Thank you, Mark. As always, Mark, I appreciate you and all that you bring to the table. Grant with a super chat. Should I flex Royce Freeman or Devin Singletary? I go Devin Singletary, bro. No question about it. Maybe I have to preface that because last time that didn't sit very well with people. No question about it. Is there a question? Yeah, a little bit. But I think Devin Singletary is my guy this week. Hard question coming at you, says Fly. I'm waiting, Fly. Super chat, Smitty. Grant, I think I got it. Didn't I? I answered it. Where is CBS? Why is CBS Sports not calling? Have they fired us? Have we been kicked off? Thomas, I think it was Thomas. I'm going to ask those questions. Rest of season top 5 wide receivers. Rest of season top 5 running backs. Great topic. I'm also going to talk about, let's see here. Andrew with the super chat. Thank you, Andrew. Is Hopkins... Looks like they're going to call on this line. This is Smitty.
Hey, Smitty, it's Adam. I'm going to put you on hold.
Okay, yeah, if this doesn't work, just call me on my cell after.
Okay.
Sound good and clear?
Yeah, you're right now. You're good.
Perfect. Thank you. What's up?
Here on the Fanatic, and you can be part of the program. You can join on the text line. That's 888-368-1580. That's 888-368-1580. Of course, I am live at Fantasy Brothers.
Can you guys hear us? Let me know if you can hear him.
Challenge. And Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m., I am out here at Fantasy Brothers broadcasting the show live. I'm always easy to spot. I am inside the restaurant just before the entrance to the game room, and I have always got a classic Rams jersey on. I'm an old-school Los Angeles Rams fan going back to Roman Gabriel and the Fearsome Foursome days, the late 60s there. And tonight I have got my classic blue Marshall Faulk number 28 jersey on. Look for that guy. You make it out here before 8 o'clock. You can get an entry into the Fantasy Challenge, and it's always free to play. Got to say congratulations to our winners again in Week 6 of the Fantasy Challenge. First place, Rob Corsetti of Phoenix. Second place, Joe Benedetto of Scottsdale. Joey's hanging out over here. I could be announcing your name on the program next week, but only if you make it out and play the Fantasy Challenge Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday evenings. And, of course, I take part in the Fantasy Challenge every week as well, coming up in the final segment of the program.
Can you hear him now?
From the thefantasyfootballshow.com and sleeperu.com, our good buddy Smitty is on the guest line. Smitty, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Russ. If this doesn't work this week, you might just have to call me on the cell phone moving forward, trying to dial in from Skype. But let's see how long it lasts, and damn glad to be with you, as always, Russ.
Hey, always my pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. You know, lots of injuries happened this past week, some to some big-name running backs. Christian McCaffrey banged up. The Carolina's bye week comes at a great time for him. Alvin Kamara banged up. I'm not sure about Alvin Kamara this week. What are your thoughts on Kamara and Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I mean, Kamara's not looking like he's a good bet to play, but I think we got to wait till later in the week to know for sure. But, you know, good buy low target if you can weather through this week if you're going to be without him. I'm a big fan of Kamara. I think that a lot of people are second-guessing whether he deserved to be in the top 5. I am not. But definitely worried about, you know, whether we're going to have a 100% Alvin Kamara for the next week or two. So you got to be able to weather through that if you're going to make a trade for him. But I do like him moving forward after he gets through this.
Well, you just mentioned the buy low on Alvin Kamara. Let's go ahead and talk about some other buy low candidates that you're big on this week. Who are you going after, thinking you might be able to get a good bargain?
Yeah, I think DeAndre Hopkins again walks into this week. I think we're fortunate to have him in situations where you don't own him. You're fortunate to have him struggling because you're not going to be able to buy him at that kind of price, I think, ever again in fantasy football, which is a price that sometimes I think dips into what would be equivalent to second-round value, in many cases mid to late second-round value. Or if you get creative, Russ, you can do a package deal where you're trading, you know, lesser value than that, but because you're giving up, you know, somebody that you picked up that's doing really well. You might have 2 tight ends, and you picked up Andrews, and you have Kittle or Waller and Andrews, or you picked up Hunter Henry, and now you have him and Waller. You have a lot of options that will allow you to get yourself into a DeAndre Hopkins doing a slight upgrade at wide receiver in some people's mind. Like, let's say you have, just looking at some rankings here, let's say you have someone like Diggs that did really well. You might be able to trade Diggs and a tight end like Waller or something for a Hopkins. People are freaking out. If you own DeAndre Hopkins, you're likely doing bad because he's been struggling. So those are the people that you go attack via trade, those owners, because they're you might be sitting there thinking they won't want to trade Hopkins away cheap, but somebody else steps in, offers them this lowball offer. They accept the first offer that comes their way, and you're scratching your head going, why didn't I try? So it's a big time in the year, Russ, where people, They sit on their hands and they watch other people make deals. Don't be that guy. A couple other players I buy low on. Mike Evans I buy low on. I think Kamara, like I said, is a decent potential buy low opportunity. I think that you want to try and maybe buy low on Devonta Adams if the price is right. And it might not be in your league. The guy holding on to him might, every league's different, but I definitely attempted to buy low on those guys.
Some other potential buy low candidates I want to get your opinion on. Let's start with the quarterback, Drew Brees, for the New Orleans Saints. Teddy Bridgewater is doing an excellent job in replacement of Drew Brees, but Brees is going to be coming back here in the next few weeks. If you don't need a guy for a few more weeks, Brees is someone that you could acquire now, keep on your bench until he does return, and then use him in your stretch run to help you make that fantasy championship. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Brees is one. I think another one to take a stab at, it sounds crazy to even bring it up, but is Pat Mahomes, 2 weeks in a row where people feel like, God, maybe he will level off a little bit. And people that own him, if they're playing not badly, but they're getting a little nervous, they might pull the trigger on a trade there. But Brees is a good deep call, and some people dropped him. Russ, he's available in some leagues, or he was at least last week in a lot of leagues.
Right. Another name I want to bring up, Melvin Gordon for the Chargers. He's been back for 2 weeks now. He hasn't been producing good numbers so far, but his snap count went up to like 60% this past week. It's only going to increase until eventually he's at like 80% probably of the offensive snaps. Melvin Gordon right now not doing anything since he ended his holdout. Now's the time to go after him because his owners are probably thinking to themselves, wow, I wonder if he's ever going to turn it around. And Melvin Gordon's a proven commodity.
I totally agree with you. I think he is I don't think I'd go after him in a league where I've got everything going in the right direction unless you can just buy low and make him like a project for your team. But I don't take any big risk going after Melvin Gordon. But if I need to make a big splash in order to make the playoffs, if I've got to take a risk, Melvin Gordon is a great player to go get. So, yeah, definitely agree. I also love Devin Singletary heading into this week. A lot of his owners might be really excited about his return. He might not be very attainable, but just make sure, someone isn't willing to give him up in some kind of crafty package deal. A lot of times, Russ, you can't trade for a player, and I do a lot of, art of draft pick trading, the art of trading on my show, and do some segments on that. And one way to get around buying a player that if you just went straight after the player one for one, you're going to scare the owner off. And they're going to say, well, wait a minute, I've been waiting on Devin Singletary. No, is you muddy the trade waters with a 2-for-1 or a 2-for-2. So that, if you really want to get Singletary and there are other options on that owner's team, do a 2-for-2. And try and get Singletary. But I love Singletary this week. I'm really hoping he continues on the path he was about to get unleashed on before he got hurt. Devin Singletary is a guy I think could be, and we talked about it last week with one of the trade offers or topics. We both agree, I think, that Devin Singletary could have an immense value moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. As the season goes along, I think that Devin Singletary is going to prove out to be the better running back than Frank Gore, the more explosive running back for sure than Frank Gore. Gore is great as far as being an ageless wonder out there on the field for Buffalo. Frank Gore's done it everywhere he's gone. San Francisco, Miami, Buffalo. Frank Gore has produced good numbers. And he's 36 years old?
Yeah, I believe he is 36, yep. He's a dinosaur, and he is one of the most injury-prone running backs for his prime of his career. He was a guy that everyone's like his ankles, his knees, his everything, and now he stays healthy. I don't get it.
Hey, Smitty, we're up against the break. On the other side, we'll start talking about the sell high, then we'll get into some of the free agents to target, and of course, we're taking questions. Tell everyone real quick. Actually, hold on. I'll have you talk about what's going on with the fantasyfootballshow.com on the other side of this break. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good. All right, so we're on a break, and I can answer some questions here. Posner, thank you for the super chat. Posner, thank you for the super chat, if I can speak. Drop MVS to pick up DK. Yeah, I guess. And that's going to be the week that MVS finally goes off. He was supposed to go off last week, the week before. time to write him off, maybe. But then that's when he's going to go nuts. But I think DK at least has some upside, man. Possession upside, TD potential. Cody, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Posner. And then Andrew, is Hopkins the Julio of last year where he didn't do, I think you mean much, at the beginning and at the end of the season, Julio tore it up. I think Hopkins has shown me zero sign to worry. Just because he hasn't delivered, that doesn't scare me off. There's no injury that I'm worried about. There's no QB situation. I'm not worried. All I look at it as he's been a victim of situation and the opportunity, and Fuller getting targeted, double teams, whatever you want to talk about. He is not scaring me off from buying low and expecting top 1 to 5 wide receiver numbers moving forward. Robinson or McLaurin? Can't sit McLaurin, Richard, in my opinion, at this point. That's a no-go for me. I do not sit him. Thanks for the super chat. So you said FPPR, James White, Singletary, or McCoy. I go Singletary, bro, but that's me. You wouldn't be crazy to go White. You wouldn't be crazy to go McCoy. But I think Singletary, he's either going to have a really big game or he's going to disappoint. Make no mistake about it. He is very risk-averse at this point until he proves himself workload-wise. But I'm rolling Singletary, and I feel pretty good about it. But that's me. That's a lot of people here, though. I'm not alone, so at least you can feel confident that there's a big Devin Singletary fan base within the community here. And thank you for the super chat. Matt, Smitty, you deserve this. Thank you. More than a stripper in my lap right now. Thank you, Matt. That really means a lot to me, to be honest. Watching your show from the strip club, that's got to be the first, right? That is actually probably the first, Matt. Well, maybe not, but probably. At least the first anybody's admitted it. And doing a tip. Did I get more than the person entertaining you right now? Because I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like that'd be a pretty good one. Thank you.
Just 1 out. Thousands of timeshare owners.
Smitty to the stage again. Thank you, Matt. What do we got question-wise? Let's put Matt's question up for a minute. Let's let people know where they can find Smitty on stage. Should I drop Minnesota this week for another defense? Isabella, it really depends on who that other defense is. I can't answer a blanket question like that. Absolutely not, Matt says. Okay. Let's see if we're live again.
800-685-7530.
No, we're not. What's up, Jeff? 192 in the room. Wipe your feet at the front door, please, and hit that thumb up button. Smash it, punch it, flick it, tickle it, whatever you got to do to get that thumb up. But that thumb up helps the show. Let me tell you. The Lizard or MVS. I think the Lizard at this point, man.
And more by visiting nationalguard.com.
But it's tough. Rams defense rest of season. I like them. Yeah, MVS isn't scoring. Go with the Lizard, man. For now. Smitty the Beast says, Cook, help please. PPR pick up Jamal Williams and start. It depends on your options. Sam, please post your options so I know more. All right, let's see if CBS is back. It looks like he's back. Trade Kelsey for Singletary and Cook.
1580 AM, 99.3 FM, Far East Valley, 95.9 FM, The Fanatic, Arizona's new home for the NFL and Super Bowl 54. Very, very excited about that, as a matter of fact. Joining us on the program, my good buddy Smitty from fantasyfootballshow.com and sleeperu.com. Smitty, tell everyone about what the fantasyfootballshow.com is all about.
So, yeah, Russ, I've been in the fantasy industry for 16 years now. Been on your show the CBS sports show here. We were obviously a different channel at one time, but for 16 years, I've been piggybacking off of your dinosaur moves that you've been dropping on for 23 years, right? Longest fantasy football radio show on the planet, right? 23. So I've been blessed to be a part of it for 16. But what I started to do back then and 16 years ago is drop bold predictions. It manifested into a website, which is now sleeperu.com. And I decided I'm going with a video format, a video show, and it's The Fantasy Football Show. You can find it at thefantasyfootballshow.com or go to youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. And basically, Russ, I go live almost 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes my live show is, and you can talk to me live. People super chat and ask questions, and super chatting means that they throw in $1 or $2 to have me answer a question. It's just an awesome environment where people are just, the community is amazing. Right now we have over 200 people in the room right now listening to both you and I and their show. They're regulars to the show. Some of them are new. If you're new, hit subscribe. But anyways, I go live about 4 or 5 times a week. I release a video pretty much every day, whether it's through the live video or an upload. So it's a 365 job for me, and grown it from 0 to about 3,600 subscribers in just this part of the season, the first part of the season.
Awesome. Do you have specific set times that people can tune in, or is it kind of like all of a sudden you decide, hey, I feel like doing a show right now?
Yeah, so you might hear a lot of YouTubers say, smash that subscribe button or hit that bell notification. And what that does is if you hit the bell notification, you get emailed or alerted on your app on your phone when I go live or when I upload a show. So to answer your question, I go live for 1 hour before kickoff every single Sunday. So if anybody wants to ask me a start bench question right before kickoff, I'm live every single Sunday morning, the whole hour before kickoff here on youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. And the other set time is with you, Russ, at 10 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday night for the entire hour I'm here. Past that, I go live more often than not late night, but I do try and do some Friday daytime stuff. And then I upload a video if I don't go live. Pretty much every day there is content on thefantasyfootballshow.com. So I got to get you in here in the studio to do a show here at some point.
Oh, yeah. Actually, an hour before kickoff on Sunday mornings might actually work out. We will definitely discuss this off the air.
Definitely.
Okay, now, before the break, we were talking about the buy low candidates. Let's take a look at some of the candidates to sell high on heading into week number 7. Who are some of the ones that you're looking at as, hey, I can take advantage of some of their value now because I don't know if they're going to be able to really keep up the pace that they're on?
I worry about the health of James Conner. He's been banged up pretty much the whole season. And he's playing so good right now, and it's, that offense. I mean, Benny Snell would do just as well if he got inserted into that lineup. Jalen Samuels would have. I know everyone's so soured on him after throwing that INT, and then basically they didn't use him when the game plan was to use Jalen Samuels that game that he got hurt and threw that interception. But the bottom line is whoever's in that backfield is going to do well. Benny Snell looks really good when he's on the field. And I think that whoever's starting there is going to have top 5 to 10 running back numbers moving forward. Now, Connor could just as easily stay healthy all year, figure out a way to drag his body onto the field on a weekly basis and produce top 5 to 10 running back numbers. So there's risk in trading him away. But what you do is step into a safer lateral player. Maybe you can trade Connor. Again, these package deals are what get you into a bigger name player that's safer. Go get a Zeke Elliott, while Zeke Elliott's still kind of valued in terms of what people expected and what he's delivering. You could maybe give up Connor and a wide receiver to get Zeke. I sell high on Chris Carson. I know a lot of people, especially in my chat here, are going to get upset over it because I've doubted Chris Carson. He's proved me wrong, Russ. He's been what I call one of my oopsies so far this year because he's actually done really well. But I just worry he won't be there when the time comes. Week 16, week 15, week 14.
He was one of the players that I did actively target in my fantasy drafts, and he has not disappointed so far. Another one, I think, especially after the last two games that he's had, Devonta Freeman of the Falcons definitely is a sell-high candidate. I mean, the first couple of games of the season, you were all concerned about he's getting a timeshare with Ito Smith.
Yeah.
He's not producing much. But the last two games, he's had really good numbers. Look at who he's played, and, it's not too hard to figure out. Devonta Freeman right now is a guy that, you try and sell high on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think you sell Odell Beckham Jr., a guy I was super high on to start the year. I admit that is one of my mistakes this year, is thinking that he was going to be consistent all year long, because I thought that offense would play well and be consistent and tear it up. And the Browns have been super disappointing. So Odell coming off a big game, maybe sell high and try and get into a little bit safer option. Another player I'd maybe sell high on would be, let's see here, Diggs, Stefon Diggs, coming off of a big game. Not that he can't continue, Russ, but the odds are he's going to vanish and appear and vanish and appear. And I just worry that, right now you could get top dollar for him.
Totally agree on Stefon Diggs. 167 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was on my fantasy bench in the one league that I do have Diggs on this past week, because after the first 5 games where he had 16 catches for 253 yards and no touchdowns, he goes out and he explodes in this one game. I got suckered into putting him on the bench. Now, people are asking, hey, can I get Stefon Diggs? Yeah, you can. Let's see what type of deal we can work out.
Yeah. I got a question here from I've got a lot of questions here. There's 217 people in the room right now live. And one of them is Mark. He's an avid The Fantasy Football Show Patreon. And he says, trade Godwin and Sutton for DeAndre Hopkins. What do you think about that, Russ?
I think that's a slam dunk deal right there. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans can coexist, but we're seeing right now where it's like huge numbers for one and next to nothing for the other, instead of it being more of an equal split. And right now, Chris Godwin's getting a whole lot more of those huge numbers. I think you can go ahead and you can get the consistency on a week-to-week basis with DeAndre Hopkins. Granted, he's had some down weeks, but DeAndre Hopkins has proven year after year to be a guy that puts up 1,400 yards, scores you 8 to 12 touchdowns. I'm all in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm big on buying. This is probably the last week you buy Hopkins at the value that you can currently buy him at. And then trade Kelsey for Singletary and Jared Cook. I think even though I love Singletary, I think Kelsey, that's a monster buy low opportunity there. You agree on that?
Yeah, it's a monster buy low opportunity, but if you're trading Travis Kelsey and getting Singletary and Jared Cook, I'm not thrilled with it. I'd much rather be on the other end of that deal.
Yeah, I think Kelsey is the slam dunk trade on that side of that deal. And then one more, Smitty, you rock. Thanks to you. Oh, hold on. Let's see if this is a deal. I'm killing it in first place in my leagues. Pick 2: Diggs, Fitz, John Brown, or Golden Tate. So Diggs, Fitzgerald, John Brown, Golden Tate, pick 2.
Wow. You know what? I just can't turn down the matchup that they have against each other. Golden Tate and Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, you're talking about two of the horror pass defenses in the NFL. There ought to be a lot of fantasy points in that game going on between the Cardinals and the Giants. It's always kind of risky to start two guys playing against each other in the same game, but at the same time, Stefon Diggs, great game. Where did it come from? Who did it come against? It came against the worst defense to opposing wide receivers in the Philadelphia Eagles. John Brown, like him, but he was a little banged up, and I think he was held out of practice today. It's not supposed to be anything major, and I do like his matchup for Buffalo this week, taking on Miami. But if the Bills get a lead, they are a team that is perfectly happy to run the football the rest of the game. I think Giants-Cardinals has got shootout written all over it, whereas Dolphins-Bills has got blowout written all over it. So I'm going to say Fitzgerald and Tate.
Okay.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and put you on hold. We'll bring you up on the other side. We'll continue on with the conversation. I've got a couple of questions here from our text line at 888-368-1580. That's 888-368-1580. And we'll continue it on. Sound like a plan, my friend?
Sounds good.
He's Smitty from thefantasyfootballshow.com. You can check him out on YouTube and, of course, sleeperu.com. Year-round fantasy football dynasty advice. And Smitty's been doing it for 16 years. And he's been joining me for 16 years. Now, we go way back in radio. We're going to step aside. You're listening to the Red Zone, talking fantasy football in the NFL on 1580 AM, 99.3 FM, The Fanatic, Arizona's new home for the NFL and Super Bowl 54.
All right, he's true. Way back. This is true. Way back. We have gone back 16 years. He's been doing it 23. We're on hold. For those just joining, we're on CBS Sports Radio. We do this every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I record it or stream live my side of the fence every single Wednesday when I go on this show that I've gone on for 16 straight years. There is nobody that has a longer radio program than our show right here. CBS Sports Radio, 1580 AM, The Fanatic. It's been going 23 years. Nobody, not Matthew Berry, nobody has a radio show longer than this. Not the footballers, nobody. Our show is the longest fantasy football radio show in the world, on planet Earth, on any planet. I will be bold enough to say no planet has a fantasy football radio show longer than ours. To answer your question, Ray, very, very tough. You heard Russ. I think you got to look at Brown because of the matchup, and this might be a call you ask on the morning show. If you can't make the morning show, where I go live every hour, the whole hour before kickoff on Sunday mornings, if you can't make that, the safe, locked-in plays to make now and kind of, make sure you stay on injuries, but leave them be and not worry about it would be Tate and Fitzgerald, like he said. But if John Brown looks ready to go, he's got the matchup, you might want to play John Brown over one of those. I kind of like Tate. I feel like Tate looked pretty good last week. It'd be really hard for me to sit Tate. Diggs is very, very hard to sit. I think I might lean Diggs and Tate myself. I feel like John Brown has a lot of upside, but the injury worries me. So unless I heard something really amazing on Sunday that convinced me that this guy is going to be full go, I kind of maybe sit Brown for now. And I think I go Diggs and Tate instead of Fitz because I think Fitz is good. Fitz is safe. Fitz is steady. But Diggs and Tate both feel like they have more ceiling, even though they may potentially have more risk. But I think those guys have much bigger ceiling. So I'm going to go Tate and Diggs. Final answer. Don't hang me or blast me after if I'm wrong. It's a close call. I'm telling you right now, you could miss this one 7 times out of 10. But good job on first place. Fantastic in both your leagues. Killing it. Killing it. Kamara probably won't play. That's true. Any news on Gurley? No, but the news is that maybe Malcolm Brown's banged up as well, or he is banged up, but maybe Gurley and Brown both sit, or maybe they only have one, and given that the only truly healthy back will be Henderson, we might get a little Henderson train going. Little choo-choo train going, little Hendy train, little Hendy poo playing in week 7. Get him into your lineups. Kamara, Carson, Cook, pick 2. Kamara's probably out, so going to be an easy call for you this week, Eduardo. But stay on the news. If for any reason Kamara's going to play, check back on the morning show, and we'll talk about it. Let's see if we're back.
Call 800 Omni 150. That's 800.
We are not back. Oliver, first place, 5-1. Smitty. Let me put your comment on screen, young man. First place, 5-1. Smitty got Kamara, Cook, Saquon to stack my team. That's fantastic. And, you still might win this week. If Adams is out, so I play Ertz, Michelle, Mike Williams at flex. I play Ertz probably, but that's me.
Matter of fact, currently in my car, I've got Dark Side of the Moon in my CD player. Welcome back to the Red Zone, talking fantasy football, the NFL, and pretty much whatever the hell this host wants to talk about, because after all, this is my show. I'm joined on the phone by my friend Smitty from the Fantasy Football Show and SleeperU.com. I am live at Santisi Brothers Pizzeria and Sports Grill, by the way. I'll be here till 8 o'clock. If you weren't able to make it out tonight, make it out tomorrow night. I will be here from 5 to 7. I'm not on the air on Thursdays, but every Tuesday and Thursday, I am out here at Santisi's from 5 to 7, hanging out, answering your fantasy football questions in person, having a few drinks, having some food, and taking entries for the Fantasy Challenge. It's a free game to play, so come on out and join us out here. Smitty, right before the break, we were talking some questions. I got a couple here on my text line at 888-368-1580. You ready for it?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, first one, unidentified caller. I'm not going to identify you by phone number on the air. That's probably a bad thing to do. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Singletary or Melvin Gordon this week? And then he's got another question after that. Standard league.
Wow, that one's tough. Both of them have question marks. Both of them we don't know what we're going to get. I almost say that my default answer in these scenarios is find a way to play both. But I think, I think you got equal risk on both, Russ. I don't know what I'm going to say to that. That's one I would have to think on. I think Gordon, you'd want to lean Gordon, but we've seen no signs that he's going to be the guy that we expected him to be yet. And Singletary at least has proven it. I'm almost tempted to say Singletary for this week.
I'm actually going to agree with you when it comes to something this close, because Melvin Gordon, just based off of experience, Melvin Gordon is the guy that can be a running back one on a regular, consistent basis. But he did the holdout. He still hasn't had any. He still hasn't had the games that we've been hoping to see out of Melvin Gordon. And this week, he takes on a Tennessee Titans defense that ranks 7th hardest to run the football against for running backs, giving up an average of 16 points. And he's going to be in a timeshare with Austin Eckler. He's going to be on the larger side of the timeshare with Eckler, but he's going to be in the timeshare. So even if you're getting 60% of that 16 points that they give up on average, you're only getting about 10 points out of them. Whereas Devin Singletary in a timeshare that could be very, very run-heavy for the Buffalo Bills gets the Miami Dolphins, who give up 30.4 fantasy points, non-PPR, standard league, 30.4 to opposing running backs every week. And I figure Singletary's going to at least do the 50% on that. I'll take his 15 over Gordon's 10.
Yeah, I think for now, I could live to regret that one, but you know what? At this moment, it feels like the right call, and Singletary's proven it. So,
it's just like the Stefon Diggs. You always run the risk of a player that can go off. Hasn't yet. He can, but he hasn't. You bench him, he goes off. It happens a whole lot more often than you think. But I think that Buffalo, it ought to be 30-10 Buffalo over Miami. I'm not even sure how Miami's going to score 10 points on that defense. And Buffalo might actually end up scoring more than 40 in that game. And they're going to run the football an awful lot. So I'm going to say Singletary. I feel pretty good about that one. Next one here is from, the follow-up question was, and this one I'm not quite sure about because he doesn't identify, Kupp or Bell rest of season. Now, Cooper Kupp is a great wide receiver. Le'Veon Bell is a really good running back. Outside of that, I can't think of any other Kupps or Bells that, ring a whistle.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go. Let me pull up Lev Bell's stats from last week just to make sure I have the full picture here. I have to say, initially, I'm going to want to say that I'm going Lev Bell just because of the running back. I know you and I are proponents of when all things are equal or even close, the starting running back tends to sway us a little bit. You what?
Yeah, the starting running back trumps the wide receiver when all things are equal.
Yeah, even in a PPR. He's a PPR guy. He's actually done pretty well pulling in passes this year, better than I expected. He had 6 receptions in week 1, 10 in week 2, 4 in week 3, then they had the bye week, then 7 receptions in week 5. So he's getting the ball through the air. Only 50 yards on the ground last week, but he did have the TD. He's only had 2 TDs all year. Plays New England in week 7, but he's bye free. He's already at his bye, so I kind of like that option, and I think that he really could turn it on down the stretch. So I'm going to go Bell. I know that could be risky. I assume that he's tried to trade Kupp for another running back. I mean, I'd rather trade for a Zeke Elliott if you could do a package deal, but push comes to shove, you need a running back. I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, to me, Cooper Kupp is one of those players that he does exceptionally. He's Jared Goff's favorite target. And that's clear when he's got Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp consistently gets his numbers every game. But there's always that concern that he could flip. He might not get his numbers in some future game. Whereas running backs like Le'Veon Bell, totally different with Sam Darnold under center. The New York Jets are, and with Sam Darnold not under center. So I'm going to say it's tempting, but I'm going to agree. Bell's the guy to stay with.
And also, Russ, so I got 272 people live in the chat right now, so it's getting hopping in here. Two guys. This is why I love this community so well, is because they throw out some awesome nuggets along the way. And I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate across all leagues. Everybody's the way people look at schedule is differently, but Mike and Doobie Snacks both point out that Bell's schedule is roughly the fourth easiest, moving forward. So another thing to consider, that Bell will have a good rushing schedule.
Yeah, definitely. Strength of schedule. Well, now that we're into week number 7 now, we actually can trust the stats that we've seen so far throughout this year. There's been enough balance. About the only thing we can't trust is the Patriots' record, because look at the cream puffs they've played, with the exception of Buffalo, who was the one team that Tom Brady did not throw a touchdown pass against, only had 150 yards passing against, and an interception, and Buffalo almost won that game. So, that undefeated Patriots record, that's one stat that I'm not totally buying, even though we're into week number 7. Got a couple others here. Papa Mike sends in Tevin Coleman versus Washington, or Jamal Williams versus Detroit, PPR league. Which do you prefer?
Read those one more time. I'm sorry, Russ.
Tevin Coleman versus Washington, or Jamal Williams versus Detroit, PPR.
I think I got to go Tevin Coleman for now. We just don't know what his workload is going to be like Williams in Green Bay. I'm not sold that he's going to take over the starting role or even get half the carries. I think that Aaron Jones has proven he deserves a shot. Will Aaron Jones get all the work? Probably not. And they could rotate, but I'm not betting on Williams yet.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think that one of the big deciding factors in liking Coleman versus Washington over Williams versus Detroit is that we can't trust Green Bay to get a lead on Detroit and, a 2-3 touchdown lead. This is not, the Packers of 10 years ago. Whereas the San Francisco 49ers, they are killing people, and the Washington Redskins barely beat the Miami Dolphins. Barely beat the Miami. Miami still had a shot to win that game on the final play with that 2-point conversion, but they didn't convert. They would have won the game if that would have been successful, and then Washington would probably be talked about a whole lot more as being the worst team in the NFL. So if San Francisco gets a lead on Washington, I expect them to run a lot. Yes, you're going to see Matt Breida. Yes, you're probably going to see some of Jeff Wilson, but you're also going to see a good healthy dose of Tevin Coleman in that game. I go Coleman.
Okay.
Next one on here is from Choro, and in Phoenix he says, I have Waller and Henry. Is it wise to trade either for Jamison Crowder? I've got Chris Godwin, Boyd, Robbie Anderson, and John Brown on the roster. It's PPR league. What do you think on that? Waller or Henry for Jamison Crowder?
No, I think you can get better. So I'm not going to just say, yeah, take it just because the offer's there. I think you could get a lot better wide receiver for that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that Jamison Crowder is going to get in as a starting wide receiver over Godwin, Boyd, or John Brown on a regular basis.
Yeah, I do some kind of running back upgrade, or maybe if your QB is Wentz, maybe you can upgrade into a Deshaun Watson or something like that. I use that tight end for a big upgrade. I wouldn't play around with some minor wide receiver.
Yeah, I'd rather package Waller or Henry with Anderson or Boyd or Brown and see if you can get a really better wide receiver to start on a consistent basis.
I've got a tough one for you, Russ, because your natural answer, your natural instinct's going to be like, you got to go with Mixon on this, but do you? Do you trade in a redraft league, so no dynasty implications at all? Do you trade Joe Mixon away for McLaurin, Scary Terry? It's so easy to be like, you can't do that, but McLaurin is looking so amazing, and I didn't know how to answer that question when I was asked it, because my natural instincts, like you paid second round value for Mixon, how can you go and do that? But at what point do you say Mixon's going to fail you and McLaurin's not?
To me, it all depends as to who else he has at running back and who else he has at wide receiver. Because if Joe Mixon's someone that you can put on the bench every week and you feel pretty good about it, but your starting wide receivers really are struggling, then yeah, I'm all over making that trade to get McLaurin and get the upgrade at the wide receiver position. But if you're trading him and you have Mixon, you are relying on him to start because really you don't have a better option whatsoever on your bench, then I don't think that that's the way to go on here. Because McLaurin's one of those guys that I was going to talk about when we were talking about sell-high candidates. I mean, how long can he keep this up? I mean, it's not usual to see this type of player come out and just be this good, this consistently. Part of the reason that he is so good is that Washington falls behind in so many games that they have to abandon their running attack and go strictly with a passing attack. So that's part of why his numbers have been there. But I'm not sure that he can keep it up. I just have enough questions about that to say no. It would really depend as to who else he has.
Yeah, I can understand both arguments, to be honest. I feel like you hold off and try and get more for Mixon in some other deal, but it's a tough one. And one more question, Russ, if you don't mind, unless you got a couple lined up there you want to throw out.
Nope, you go ahead. I'm cleared.
Top 5 running backs moving forward. So the past doesn't matter. I can, name off McCaffrey, Elliott, Barkley, and Dalvin Cook as probably the clear-cut 4. You could mix them up a little bit. Definitely you could give me your take, but who's number 5? Is it Kamara even with the injury? Is it David Johnson because he's playing great? Is it Nick Chubb? Is it Lev Bell? Is it James Conner? Anybody else? And do you see that top 5 differently?
No, I'd say you pretty much nailed it. Barkley, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook. Let's see, you said Zeke Elliott, I do believe.
Yep.
And yeah, Nick Chubb is my number 5. Alvin Kamara, I'm a little concerned about the injury that he has right now. I think that maybe New Orleans may be starting to think that, hey, perhaps we should scale back his touches so that way they can try and keep him fresh and healthy. And I think that Nick Chubb has just been a model of consistency so far this year. I mean, as it is right now, I had Nick Chubb as that number 5 pick in my fantasy football draft. I had those top 5 running backs. Dalvin Cook was not one of them, but Dalvin Cook now is in that top 5 category. But Nick Chubb was someone that I already thought at the beginning of the year was top 5 running back, and he's done nothing whatsoever to disappoint. And considering the Browns' helter-skelter play, Nick Chubb has easily been the most reliable player on the Cleveland Browns week after week. For fantasy purposes, I go Nick Chubb easy at 5.
I will say that now is the time to go accumulate your Kareem Hunt shares, though, especially if you own Nick Chubb, because Nick Chubb is that. And everybody gets so upset when this topic comes up because they look at it differently than I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it like Chubb getting his job taken. I'm looking at it like this offense is in a good position to run the football. Chubb is doing really well. Kareem Hunt is a little bit more talented in the receiving game. Chubb probably more talented in the running game. But if Chubb gets hurt, an aggressive runner, very abusive style of play, and some would say injury prone, and some would argue that that's unfair. But regardless, there's the aggressive play mixed with his big frame. And now's the time to go get Kareem Hunt just to secure your top 5 to 10 running back production. It's not about a takeover. It's about security.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you do. That's how you do smart trades. and you do smart acquisitions is to give yourself insurance, especially when you're doing well. I mean, you got Nick Chubb, you're probably doing well, you're planning for your fantasy playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen come around week 13, week 14? Do you want to be the guy who does not have the handcuff, a proven commodity handcuff like a Kareem Hunt? Not have him on your bench just in case something happens to Nick Chubb with his violent running style?
Right.
I think that's great advice right there.
Yeah, and we're getting closer to his return, so it's not like we're talking week 1 anymore where it's like I can't roster a guy for that long on my bench that's not going to play. We're getting so close to his return. What is a couple weeks? So definitely I'd say go grab him.
It's the exact same thing with the Drew Brees, the buy low on Drew Brees that we talked about earlier on the program. These guys are going to be coming back here in the next few weeks. Don't wait until the week before they're coming back. You're not going to be able to pry them away at the value you may be able to get them at now. Now their value is a little bit lower. Now you can spend a little less to get them. You wait until the last minute, you're going to end up having to pay a premium for something that's a little bit of a risk.
Totally agree.
Hey, Smitty, I really appreciate your time. Love having you on. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight, and best of luck in all your fantasy leagues. And say hi to the community for me. We'll definitely talk about getting me on the Sunday show some week.
Yeah, definitely. We got 323 in the room now, so it's packed. They're loving it. This is probably, I'd say, a lot of people tell me this. This is their favorite show of the whole week that I do. So a lot of information gets shoveled out. So glad to be on it. Glad to be a part of it. Thanks for letting me stream it on my side of the fence.
Hey, my pleasure, my friend. You have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Russ.
Steve Smitty from thefantasyfootballshow.com and sleeperu.com. You haven't checked it out, you're missing out. You got to go check that out. Smitty's been joining me on the program for 15.
All right. That puts a wrap on the CBS portion of the show. Let me exit out of that. And now it's time for the last few minutes. I'm focusing on your questions. We got 325 in the room, only 110 thumbs up. If you're watching, the 327 of you now, please, for the sake of the show, if I've entertained you at all, I'll slap myself in the face really hard if we can get to 200 likes real quick. Is that okay? I mean, what do I got to do for you to get the likes in here? Hit the thumbs up. It lets other people know to join the show. It lets YouTube know to deliver this content to more live-seeking people. So get me to 200 and I'll slap myself. Okay. Rapid question and answer round. Let's go. Short questions. I'm not reading paragraphs. I'm reading like 1 to 2 sentence stuff. Go. Coleman or Bell? Bell. Easy call. Royce Freeman or Frank Gore? Neither. But probably Royce Freeman, I guess. Waller and Brandon Cooks for Evans. I go get Evans. Start D. Robinson or Singletary? Singletary. Too long of a question, K. Oh, no. K is giving me a positive comment. And here I am saying too long of a question. So subscribe. Let me answer that question later. Let me get through here. 134. We're getting close to a slap. Uh-oh. Kelsey and Edelman for Bell. It depends on your situation. I mean, Kelsey and Edelman's a lot of value for Bell. So, but if you need a running back and you have the players to spare, then I think that's a decent move on either side of that. Trade Scary Terry for Andrews. Depends on your situation. If you need a tight end, that's not a horrible trade, but I like Scary Terry a little bit more. Barkley or Zeke, I like them equal at this point. I'd probably go with Zeke because we know he's 100%. Barkley's getting there, but I probably have Zeke just a touch ahead of him. Diggs or Chark, that got me in trouble last week, Matt. You going to ask me that question again? I think you find a way to play both, which was my answer to a lot of people that asked me that question. But I have a tough time sitting Chark. I just do. Doesn't mean that I don't love both. Diggs or Chark? Already got that one. Edelman or Montgomery? I go Edelman. Brady or Josh Allen? That's a tough one because Allen's matchup is amazing against the Dolphins, but I think I go Brady. But that's a tough one. You wouldn't be crazy to go either. Edelman Edmonds or Damian Williams, I probably go Edmonds at this moment, but that's a tough one. Rodgers and Chark for Devonta Adams. It depends who you have at QB, but you could take that risk if you need to hit a home run along the way. Long with the Super Chat. Long jumps ahead of everybody because he Super Chats. Malcolm Brown or Murray. If Kamara's out, I think you got to go Murray. If Gurley's out and Brown's going to start and there's no question about his health, I think you got a 50-50 call in your hands, but I probably go Murray. Watson for Matt Ryan. Why on earth would you trade Deshaun Watson for Matt Ryan? I haven't done the take a lap all show.
Take a lap. Take a lap. Take a lap. Take a lap.
You're taking a lap for that one, kind sir. Fells or Hawkinson, I think that's a tough one. I'd probably go Hawk long term, but I do like Fells a lot. I think Fells was a great ad. Henry or Waller, says Dave. I go Waller. Henry had a big game, but he's injury prone. I trust Waller more for the long run, for the remainder of the year. I've got asked this question a couple times, or it's the same Cameron's asking it over and over. I'm not sure. A-Rod or Josh Allen. Oh no, it's Brady and Allen, I think. Sorry, Cameron. I probably go A-Rod, but man, you're not crazy to go Allen. The matchup is gold. Diggs, Juju, Kelsey for McCaffrey. I take McCaffrey in a heartbeat W and I run for the hills, bro. I turn my phone off. I shut down my emails so that nobody can come to my door and try and take that back. Mixon and Josh Jacobs for Carson and McLaurin. I guess, damn. Mixon and Jacobs, maybe. That's a damn tough call. Damn tough. 328 in the room, 141 likes. I appreciate all of you. Adrian Peterson and Lat Murray. AP's kind of banged up. I go Lat Murray if Kamara's out, and it sounds like he's going to be out. Jordan with a super chat. Thank you, kind sir. Jimmy Graham or Metcalf. Herndon is on waivers. Metcalf, I like most. If you're talking about these guys are going to be in a flex spot, that it's not your tight end spot, then I kind of like Metcalf more. But anything can happen. Jimmy Graham could catch 2 TDs and 20 yards. Who knows? Trade McCaffrey for Barkley and Kupp. Barkley and Kupp is probably the better value, bro. If this is Eric talking. Otherwise, I just called you a bro. And I feel stupid. Should I drop Minnesota this week for, I think you mean Green Bay or Kansas City? I'd probably go Kansas City. I'm sorry, I'd probably go Green Bay this week, but I don't know. Depending on your scoring, every league scoring is different. Make sure you're not dropping a defense that's scoring slightly higher in your format or something weird. Defenses are kind of strange sometimes in terms of scoring. Should I drop David Montgomery, Alexander Madison, Singletary, or Hunter Henry for Kareem Hunt? You don't drop Montgomery. You wait on him. You don't drop Singletary. You probably can't drop Hunter Henry. And darn it, do you have Nick Chubb? Madison's just as valuable as Hunt. He's a backup, probably more of a chance to contribute, like bigger numbers. I think Hunt would do well, but I think Madison, if starting, would do even better than Hunt starting. If they're both starting, and let's say Chubb went down, knock on wood. If Cook went down, knock on wood. Knock on some signs. Probably rather have Madison, but that doesn't mean you don't try to find a way to trade and then you can pick up Hunt. Do a 2-for-1, upgrade one player somewhere. Drop Hawk. Depends on for who. What do I do with Kamara? Do I trade? It depends on for what. I need a little more detail. Oh, Kay had a question. Kay said, subscribe yet support Smitty. It helps his channel out. He helps us, so subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't, so you know when I go live. Hit that bell so you know when I go live. And I go live every Sunday morning, 1 hour before kickoff. Join me every single Sunday, 1 hour before kickoff, and join me, just like you did tonight, every Wednesday, 10 p.m. And guess what? It's that time. Speed round. Time to sign off. I'm going to answer your questions for the next 2 minutes as fast as I can. Hit me, go. Lamar or Josh Allen? You can't bench Lamar. Madison, easy top 10 if Cook goes down. Correct. Henry, Singletary, Coleman, pick 2. I go Derrick Henry or Hunter Henry. I'm not sure if it's Hunter Henry or Derrick. If it's Hunter Henry, I go Singletary and probably still Hunter Henry. If it's Derrick Henry, then of course Derrick Henry. What should I do with Aaron Jones? Depends on what. I don't know. You can trade him, but what are you going to trade him for? Oh, and K. I didn't answer your question. Who should I start? Smitty, Frank Gore against Miami, or Emmanuel Sanders as my flex? I'm sorry, Kay, that I kept ignoring your question. Emmanuel Sanders, but that's really tough. I think Singletary probably is back. That helps Frank Gore. I think the decision with Frank Gore. Mac or Juju? Well, obviously this week you're going Mac, but I think Mac long term I like more. Yes. Jameis Crowder or DK? I think that's a crapshoot. You go either way. I probably lean Crowder. Kamara and Freeman for Fournette. No, I take Kamara and Freeman. That should be the other way around. Somebody should be giving you. I know everyone loves Fournette, but I like Kamara more. And you got Freeman. Freeman's playing great. Last question: Devonta Freeman or Derrick Henry rest of season? I'm going to go Derrick Henry, but that's a tough one. Join me Sunday. I'm going to do a live probably Saturday night, maybe Friday. So don't think that I'm done for the week. I'm just getting started for the week. But know that you could find me for sure 1 hour before kickoff here on the Fantasy Football Show. Please hit subscribe if you're new. We have 324 people in the room right now. And I know for a fact, based on the analytics, that I think like 50 or 60% of everyone that watches on a weekly basis has not yet subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed, please hit subscribe because it helps us grow. I want to bring you a daily fantasy show. I do daily content anyways, but I want to bring you like a 10 to 2, or if it's a night show, we'll have you guys all vote on what you want. If it's a 4 to 8 p.m. show Eastern or 6 to 10, I want to bring you a daily show. And to do that, we need the subscribers, we need the numbers. So please hit subscribe. Let's build this channel up. We've gone from 0 to 36 whatever 100 we're at subscribers in less than 7.5, 8 months. It's been crazy, an amazing ride. Join me Sunday, 1 hour before kickoff here on youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. And if you don't hit subscribe and you lose how to find me, you go to thefantasyfootballshow.com. And of course, you can find me at sleeperu.com. Thank you all for everything. You guys are the show. You guys are the channel. I can't thank you enough for the 148 thumbs up. Hit thumbs up on the way out. And comment below once this video is done processing, because it'll start out with 0 comments. And it's your chance to ask me a question before it gets flooded. And I'll reply to you as best I can. I reply to all the newest comments, but as a week goes by, I might not. But if you comment between now and tonight, I'm probably answering your question no matter what. Why would you not leave a comment? What a-hole would not leave a comment? Until next time, which is probably tomorrow. Later.